What's up, trade crew? Welcome back to HVAC R&D, hosted by Rhydon. I'm thrilled to have a conversation with tonight's guest, as we have been trying to make this one work for months, and it's certain to be a great time. So let's get it going. Yeah, come on. This episode of HVAC R&D is brought to you by Bosch Home Comfort as the newest segment sponsor of the show. Lots of content to come your way featuring their IDS light inverter duct split systems and gas furnaces, Climate 5000 mini splits, residential and commercial water source and water heating products, and their excellent dealer program package available as Bosch Home Comfort Pro. Make sure to check out the link in the vendor hub to learn more about HVAC's best bang for your buck in the market. This episode of HVAC R&D is also brought to you by the show's newest vendor hub partner, Global to Source. If you're looking for training on any and all of their products, from the industry-changing AMRAD Turbo series of capacitors to their Dytech surge protection and voltage monitoring, you can click the link in the HVAC R&D vendor hub and request training with a local or regional sales executive at any time. Easy peasy, go get that training, guys. This episode of HVAC R&D is also sponsored by BetterHelp. All listeners of the HVAC R&D podcast can take advantage of 10% off their first month of online mental health services with BetterHelp just by visiting the HVACRD.com vendor hub, clicking on the BetterHelp link to have discount code HVACRD automatically applied to your application. Just fill out your personal information and preferences. You can be matched with a therapist to fit your timeline and lifestyle within 24 to 48 hours. You can also change your therapist at any time at no cost to you. It's hot out there, stress levels are running high from the warehouse to the ownership, and all of us have to remember to make time to take care of ourselves as well as all of our family and customers. I'm also looking for the next HVAC R&D Powered by sponsor. If you're interested, please reach out via the contact link on the website or drop me a line at hvacrnd@gmail.com and I will send you the 2024 press kit. I'm also grateful to be part of the 2024 AHR Workforce Development Team that has been focused on working with Chicago's Prosser Career Academy and High School, a local high school with a dedicated HVAC program helping to bring the next group of tradespeople to the industry. Massive thanks to Bosch Home Comfort, Insight Partners, Hobbs & Associates, and the Air Control Concepts family of brands, as well as the Moore Sales Corporation for their support. I could not be happier to have such dedicated partners on board for this project, and if you're interested in helping the school with R&D and the rest of the team, please reach out to me about that as well. If this is your first time listening to the show, I welcome you. Thank you for taking the time to give R&D a shot. I am based in North Carolina, and the show is focused on research and development within the trades. The main objective is the pursuit of building a better, more knowledgeable community of HVAC professionals and fellow tradespeople by learning from the past and embracing new advances in the industry to help us all be better for the future. If you're not following the show online, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at hvac.rnd, as well as on LinkedIn, TradeHounds, and Facebook as the HVAC R&D Podcast. Also, if you're not listening to each week's show on your favorite podcasting platform, whether it be Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, or one of another 20 different platforms, please make sure to follow the show. Like me, rate me, leave me a review, share me with your trade crew. If you want to work with me, you know how to do that. And don't forget to go check out hvacrnd.com swag shop and join the mailing list at the bottom of the page. So today I am thrilled to have a powerhouse in the HVAC industry join me. A fellow passionate Formula One fan, she's not only a successful contractor in Canada, but a Red Seal certified badass and trailblazing business owner of Spectrum Air Solutions, who is making waves in a traditionally male-dominated field, building her business from the ground up. With a passion for the HVAC industry and a dedication to excellence, she proves I saved the best member of Red Seal Inc. for last on HVAC R&D. Please welcome Rachael Brown Sugar Plein to the show.
Thank you so much. What an intro.
You know, wow. Like I said, save the best for last.
That's right. That's right. I hope the guys are listening. They know it already.
They better be listening or they're going to catch hell from me.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. Nice to finally, air quotes, meet you.
I know, right? It's been a long time coming. So
I know.
So you know how this show works.
Mm-hmm.
What you drinking?
I am drinking Blanche de Chamblay Pomme. It's from a microbrewery in Montreal, in Quebec, and it's like a wheat beer. It's my favorite.
So is it a wheat beer or a vit beer?
Well, I guess it's a Blanche because it's French.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I am about as far from France as you can go with this one. I'm drinking a camo canned Keystone Light.
You're a class act, pal. Class act.
And going multiple cold and domestic this evening.
I like it.
So, I guess we got to get down to the real business of this episode.
Yeah, very serious stuff.
Yes. So, Formula One has been very thrilling this season. If you people don't know, in the past people wanted this to become a golf podcast, but really my secret idea was to one day make it a Formula One podcast. So I have a huge fellow F1 fan on the show with me tonight, so I'm going to take advantage of it for at least a few minutes. So if everyone will bear with me in my Formula One conversation, I've been pumped for this for weeks.
Yeah, I know. Nobody wants to talk F1 anymore. I don't know why. Everyone's so mad that Max isn't winning anymore. Well, I guess he still is winning, but
he's still winning. He's still leading the championship. No, there's a little bit more of a challenge, which I like it. It's been a while since we've had, a real battle at the front. And I'm hoping that, through the rest of this year and next year, it stays this way. This has been some of the funnest racing I've seen in forever.
It really has. It's been so good. I've been so happy with it. But
I really don't know what's my favorite.
Early in the season, so.
Well, midway, there's a lot to race for though.
Yeah, definitely.
So what would you say has been your favorite race so far?
Oh, that's tough. I don't know. I always liked the British Grand Prix.
That was a good race.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously Canada. I really want to go. I've never been, and I really want to go, but haven't made it yet. So that's on the list. You went to Vegas, didn't you?
No. My wife and I talked about it because that would have been our 10-year anniversary week.
Oh, right.
But when we looked at the price tag, we didn't want to be paying for our 10-year anniversary on our 20th anniversary still. So
crazy.
I was like, no, I wish. She was much easier for her to say no to that one.
It was quite a spectacle. Like, I was a little disappointed with the spectacle, and obviously what happened to Carlos in that race, but...
Well, I thought... I understand running late in Vegas, but they took running it as a night race to a whole nother level. It was more like the next morning race.
Weren't they racing at 2 in the morning or something?
2 a.m. or something crazy.
I know.
It's but I get it. Those casinos want their money. and they're going to get it. If we're going to have to shut down, you're only shutting down when we're making the least amount of money.
Like, what else would shut down the Strip, too, in Vegas?
No, nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
Nothing. So yeah, it was cool. And it was cool that when they launched it was from, or when they even announced it was, thinking all of a sudden I can't think of the name of the hotel I'm about to talk about. It's where we stay every time, or where we used to stay every time. The Cosmo, sorry. But they announced everything on like the pool deck of the Cosmopolitan, which is really cool because it's right across from Paris Hotel. And we went there, I think we stayed there 4 or 5 times over a couple of years before everyone else found it, and the rates just went through the roof.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
Because I think rates like quadrupled from 22 to 23. It seemed like it was insane.
Yeah, it would have been insane. It would have been nuts. Especially Vegas. This was their first year in Vegas, right?
Mm-hmm. Which I think they agreed for 10.
Oof.
Yeah. But well, I mean, they built the whole paddock, so you know you're gonna have you better use it if you're gonna build that thing.
Yeah.
I don't know whatever. I mean, maybe they could convince IndyCar to do a race there, but I don't. There's nothing else that's gonna bring the kind of crowd Formula One is like that.
It's true. I'm kind of starting to get into Indy, but I'm not there yet. So give me some time.
I've tried really hard to. I think the Indy 500 is just a classic. You can't miss that one. And I think the oval racing is interesting, but I just, for some reason, and maybe it's the announcers. I don't know. Maybe they just need better announcers. That's not meant to knock on any of them, but maybe that's it. I don't know. You know,
the Formula One announcers are top shelf. They're incredible.
Well, and what's interesting is I got used to listening to everybody on Sky forever.
Yeah.
And then when we moved, it was easier to just get the F1 app and pay to watch the races that way, since we didn't want to pay so much more money for cable. But now I'm getting used to like Jolyon Palmer and everybody else on that side. And well, at least we got Will Buxton back. But it was just, I was like, man, I don't know if I'm going to like these guys as much. But over the course of the year, I've really come to really enjoy these announcers as much as Crofty and everybody else.
It's the British wit. It's really quite funny. Some of the things they say. It's great. I enjoy it. I enjoy the commentary almost as much as the race. Sometimes.
No, I do too.
Yeah.
And then I wish we got more of the in-car conversations from time to time. I love it when Max gets pissed off, because then you just get know you're in for a good afternoon.
The best.
Or Yuki. Yuki's pretty good too.
I love Yuki. I would want to meet Yuki and hang out and just put him in my pocket and tote him around. He seems like such a fun guy.
No, he does. And then I love Checo to death, but I love Daniel Ricciardo so much more.
Yeah, I
want him to get his shot before he's ousted.
I don't know if it's gonna happen.
I know. So I was gonna say my favorite race this year has been the Miami Sprint race when he finished fourth, and I was like, see, he still got it. He just needs a car that's worth a crap.
He really does.
Because honestly, that's like Valtteri. Valtteri's at the back of the grid, but it's because he's in a shit car.
It's such a shame because he's such a good driver. It seems like such a waste. And however, his commercials and stuff for, I can't remember what it was for. It's for like a car sharing of some sort. The best.
Dang it, I don't know if I've seen it.
Oh, you gotta, you know what? Just go to his Instagram page and watch some of them. They're hilarious. It's so good. So I feel like
the mullet and the stash.
Oh, it's so good.
I feel like if he had the mullet and the stash at Mercedes, he might have beat Lewis Hamilton more times.
Well, of course. Naturally. Yeah. Oh, it's so good though. I am enjoying this season a lot more because it's, for one, not the Max Verstappen show. So I couldn't stand that. Last year just made me angry. It just made me so mad
Yeah.
because he was so dominant, and I mean he is an excellent driver. I'm not saying that he's a great driver, but it's just too much.
Well, and I felt the same way about Lewis forever. I'm like, okay, for the love of God, can someone else? I'm like, I don't want him to wreck, but can he blow an engine this weekend so we can see some excitement?
It wasn't last season, I don't think. It might have been the season before, but when Lewis and Max crashed into each other and took each other out of the race.
Yes. Then Danny Rick got to win, and I was so happy because that was what Monaco. That was Monaco when he was, or not Monaco, Monza. Sorry, Monaco. Sorry, Temple of Speed. But no, I was pumped. And then Lando the whole time was trying to pass him. They're like, nope.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
Again, it was one of those ones where it proves give the guy the car and you can't stop him. And that's not saying it was, Danny Rick had the car that day. Anybody else, if they had the car that day, but it was just those two up front, you couldn't catch them. Everyone below them were fighting like crazy, and it was great.
Exactly. Yeah, I just hate when they run away with it. It's just not even fair. I want the battle. You need to battle it out.
Well, and I think because they're facing regulation change in 26, similar to what we're facing in our own industry. This is how we'll segue. Regulation change. I think that the development is starting to shift towards 26, and especially for Red Bull. So these other teams are trying to catch up, and if they're doing just enough so that next year they'll be caught up while they all have to focus on 26. So I think it's going to get reeled in a little bit more. I think potentially, depending where Adrian Newey goes, I still don't know if is he really going. I'm still, until I see him in the uniform over there.
True.
I don't trust the rumor mill at all. Don't trust it.
But I'm here for it. If it's happening, I'm here. I'm waiting.
I know. And now, if he goes to Aston, and then everything we're seeing, would Max go? I don't know. That would be even crazier. Could you imagine Max and Fernando Alonso?
That'd be so great. I love Fernando Alonso so much.
I do too.
Yeah, love him. And not just because he's devastatingly handsome. That has nothing to do with it. Yeah, right. That helps a little.
It helps. Now, imagine, I still don't see why them or, well, I guess I do because Lance's dad, but still. Yeah. I don't get why they didn't go after Carlos. I know. They may have. Well, and I don't get why Audi didn't either.
How is Carlos
how did he get to Williams?
Yeah.
Unless, now, if like someone like Adrian Newey was going to Williams, then boom, maybe I could have got it. That one truly surprised me. Unless there's something James Vowles is doing that nobody knows.
But the bottom line is the car is shit. Can I swear here? This is a safe place?
This is a safe place.
Okay. The car is. It's garbage.
Yeah.
Well, it's not that. I mean, it's not the bottom, but...
It's not the bottom, but it's
down there.
It's not the best.
No.
And I give it, I feel like Alex Albon I feel like him losing his job at Red Bull is actually what made him better.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he jumped into a car that was so good that he didn't learn his racecraft the way he's had to learn it going down a step. So for that, because he's proved time and time again how much he's learned by getting points in that car over the years, which I think they've got a few points this year. But I think the only one left is Sauber that's not got a point this year. Sorry, Valtteri.
Yeah.
Keep kicking you down.
I know.
But no, I think him losing his seat made him grow as a driver. I think it did Pierre Gasly a little bit, not as much as Albon.
Yeah, when Pierre first went to AlphaTauri, he was so good. I was like, you've got to bring him back to Red Bull. You got to step him up. But they didn't. And now, I don't know, he's like middle of the pack again.
Well, he was doing well, but I think him and Esteban going at each other's throat has gotten to both of them.
Oh, I don't even want to talk about Ocon. I don't like him. He doesn't have a seat for next year, does he? I don't think he does.
No, I think he does. I thought Haas signed him, of course.
Oh, gosh.
Americans love an asshole, don't we? Because they've got him and Ollie Behrman.
Oh.
Which I think seeing Ollie in a car would be good full time.
Yeah, I mean, seeing him in the Ferrari was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was great. However, I want to start a petition to bring back Gunther Steiner, please.
Have you listened to him on?
I missed him.
Have you listened to him on the Red Flags podcast? Have you listened to that
No.
show at all? I will send you a link because he gets on the show with them. I think once a week or once every other week now, and it's amazing. I mean, it's freaking hilarious. Just listen to him talk. I love it.
Oh, it's so great.
And he's brutal too. It's so great. And they just had well, I was going to ask one other F1 question. We were going to talk about next really star potentially, but they just had Oscar Piastri's mom on their show, and it's one of the best podcasts I've listened to in forever. It was so
really?
good. Oh yeah, like I honestly became an Oscar fan listening to his mom crap on him. It was great. Because that's their thing. Like she blew up on Twitter, giving her kid hell.
I love it. I love that. That's awesome.
And now they just banter hardcore back and forth
rip on each other.
It's brutal, but it's so great.
That's so great. Oh, I love that. I'll have to listen.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. It's good. But yeah, I think Oscar is potentially he is like the Iceman.
Yeah.
And apparently he's been like that his entire life. He's just
really
nothing phases him.
Well, that's awesome. That's what you need for an F1 driver, not to be emotional.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
What do you think? So you talked about Yuki. Do you think he keeps a seat, or what do you think?
I hope so, just because I like him. But
I think he should. I just don't know if I don't know where he would go. I think
he's made progress because
I agree with that.
He definitely has become a better driver over the years.
He has.
Every year he gets a little bit better, and I think that the potential is still there.
Well, and I think that's also why they paired. That's one other reason why they paired Danny Rick there, was they thought he could at least be, that elder statesman.
Yeah.
Which and I've read a lot about that, and I think, and I've even read things that Daniel said where he kind of understood that too, which that's a positive thing. But I don't quite know. I still think he's almost still too hot-headed.
Yeah.
He's Max
when
Max
what makes
was
the
wrecking
best
all the time.
drivers and the worst drivers.
I know.
Right? You have to find that balance, I guess. And yeah. And once you figure it out, that's what happened with Max. Max was, when Max loses it, it's great. But he uses it. He fuels the flames, right? So.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
All right, we'll shift gears, everybody. But that was a good time. I could do the rest of the episode doing that.
Oh, I know.
But so shifting gears to HVAC.
Oh, yeah,
how do you see transitioning to A2L refrigerants impacting the industry? Since we're talking about Formula One regulation change, we got A2L regulation change coming over here. So, what do you see? How do you see that changing the industry in the next couple of years? What's up, trade crew contractors? Are you looking for a line of ductless split systems that's as reliable as you are? Meet Bosch's Climate 5000 Generation 3 ductless inverter mini splits, the systems that install as smoothly as they operate. With easy setup, it's like Bosch knew you had better things to do than wrestle with complex installations. And once it's in, it's whisper quiet, energy efficient, exceptionally service friendly, and built to last, keeping your customers comfortable and your phone quiet. Plus, with Bosch's reputation backing you and your customers up, you'll look like a hero every time. So, the next time you're on a job that requires a ductless application solution, go with Bosch Climate 5000 Generation 3 equipment, the perfect sidekick for pros who know their stuff. And now, back to the show.
Oh, it's going to be a huge impact. I mean, it's starting. It's a wonder it didn't trickle in earlier. But I think, like here in Canada, I mean, we're trying to get on board and follow more of the European style, right? Like they've been using it there for years. But yeah, honestly, the refrigerants are just changing so much and so fast, and I really am more concerned with the safety aspect of it, because I think we're already teetering on that line of being so dangerous, and now you add, explosivity to it, and it can be dangerous.
And I think it can be to a point, but from everything I've seen with A2L refrigerants, I mean, you can hold a flame to them and they'll burn, but as soon as you pull the flame, they extinguish.
Yeah.
So what I've not seen is like, what does a massive concentration actually do? And how big of a concentration do you actually have to have that it won't dissipate faster than it can burn? If that makes sense.
And also, I mean, all refrigerants are dangerous in the right, circumstances.
So. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm surprised it hasn't happened sooner, but I'm actually, I'm looking forward to it. There's been a lot. So, I mean, here with my business, I'm union, and the contractors of union shops have their own kind of union, and they have been putting on a lot of seminars and things about and keeping us up to date on how the regulations are changing. So it's really it's pretty infantile right now, because it hasn't gone really mainstream. You don't see a lot of the manufacturers coming with it yet. So, like the big manufacturers, right? So,
yep,
it's gonna happen though. It's gonna happen soon.
Well,
bring 22 back, please.
Well, and I wasn't sure how much you guys were, and how much Canada was immediately going to end up using R32 and 454. But since we're moving to it, most everything that's being manufactured down here or in Mexico and shipped up that way is probably half built that way now. Yeah. So does all that change? Same dates change for you guys, or is that something that you've already seen some in the marketplace? Now it's just going to be more full.
No, so like I said, they're still just working out how we get it here and what it's actually going to look like. Like nothing has been. They're only sitting at the table now, just discussing it. I think we're way behind you guys. I think. So you're from what I understand,
you're still going to be 410 primarily for a while.
Yeah,
lucky dogs.
And oddly enough, my sites, most of my equipment is 22.
That's insane.
I know. I have jugs of the stuff. I am so happy.
Now, what I have to say is, how expensive is 22 in Canada?
Ooh, so it went up. It went up huge for a while there. It was $100 a pound. And now which is like, 140 American dollars. But now, I think we're going down, it's down to like $35 a pound.
Oh, that's better than here. I mean, I'm selling a 30-pound drum for, what, almost $1,200?
Wow. I mean, what I'm selling it for and what I'm buying it for are two totally different
Well,
things.
that's true. So true. But it's just,
Yeah.
whew.
It's pretty crazy. But I'm not surprised at all, and that we're gonna go to like the A2Ls. It's gonna happen. I did have like R32. It's R32.
Mm-hmm.
Is it 32? Yeah, and 454. I've heard now issues with the oil return being, and well, oil compatibility isn't an issue, but oil return is an issue in bigger systems. Have you
And see,
heard that?
I haven't seen any of that because primarily I'm mostly residential. So a lot of what
Okay.
I'm working on that's smaller is
Small systems, yeah.
not gonna see that kind of issue. Now, if you get on the commercial side where we are, I haven't done like new refrigerant training on Aeon or any of the bigger stuff over there.
Yeah.
So that I don't know yet either. But it's possible.
Yeah, well, I was actually talking to the manufacturer that Elia works for.
Yep.
Their tech support, because I was doing a compressor burnout, and we were looking at the options, and 407 was still the best option in this case, even though 407 is also on its way out, right? So, so I was like, well, what is our option long term? Granted, I'm talking about a unit that's 25 years old that has, its first compressor change. So, but nonetheless, this is for a process plant. They need their equipment,
Yep.
right? Like it's imperative that it runs. I need to give them an option. So 407 right now was the best option. I was too scared, truthfully, to put 454. Given the fact that they said they've found issues with the oil return. So that was my only concern, but I'm just curious as to where would you use it then? But maybe it's geared towards residential.
I think it's geared more towards residential. Commercial, I think, will probably, I think in some cases they'll go a different direction at a certain tonnage, maybe. I could see that.
Yeah. I haven't found any documentation to support any of that, though.
Well, and it still may be a theory because it's not been tested long enough.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'd be interested. I mean, if anybody has these answers, hit me up at HVAC Rach on Instagram because I'm dying to know. Like,
exactly.
Really.
So speaking about dying to know and thirst of knowledge, let's take it back. So let's dive into kind of your journey. So what initially drew you to the HVAC industry? Was it the first plan, or when did you know that was what you wanted to try and it was the path you wanted to follow?
It was not the first, second, or third, or fourth plan. But oddly enough, I was always mechanical. My dad is a general machinist. And I grew up, he owned his own business. So I grew up in his shop, sweeping up, metal shavings and, playing with drill presses when I should have been playing with dolls, probably. I don't know. And so I took, right out of high school, I went into tool and die.
Okay.
And I worked in that. And honestly, I worked in that for about a year. And I was like, oh, I am not my father's daughter. I cannot stare at a machine, just one machine all day, every day. So I was like, no, this is not for me. And I was working for a place that makes like nuclear reactors, which was also kind of cool.
That is kind of cool.
And they were slow in the tool and die section, so they asked if anybody wanted to get welding tickets. So I was like, well, I'm like 20 years old, what do I know? I'm like, sure, why not? So I ended up getting my welding tickets, and I was like welding stuff for a while there. I got all position, TIG, MIG, stick, flux core, I got it all. And did that for 6 months or so, and then just wanted to try something else. I knew I didn't want to do tool and die, and really I didn't want to weld either forever. But I did like the science of it is pretty cool. The whole molten metal and fusing stuff together, very cool. And then there was an open call for welders in the sheet metal trade. And I was like, oh, I honestly thought it was like manufacturing sheets of metal. I had no idea.
I gotcha.
Like, I was, the big rolls of metal. I thought that was it.
Makes
Did
sense.
not
I mean,
know
I
it was
could see.
ductwork at all. And then my cousin her husband was a sheet metal mechanic. So he was like, come on over. I'll get you signed up with my union. You can start an apprenticeship. And I started as a welder, running from shutdown to shutdown, just welding sheet metal together, which was fine. It was fun. It was a change of pace. I was changing sites all the time. It was great. And then I got into I got onto the service end of it, where I was doing air balancing.
Okay.
So
how did you get from welding to controls?
Well, it was the company. Yeah, I know. The company I worked for, it was the company I quit before I started my business. And not that I worked for them the entire time. I bounced around. I switched trades. So, but I worked for them a while ago, and I was 20. I think I was 22 or something. And it was just they needed help in the air balancing department. So, I mean, I'm a second-year apprentice. I'm like, sure, okay. I'll do it.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, I wasn't thinking about you had signed up for your apprenticeship, so you had welding in the back pocket, but they would start moving you where. Okay, that's my
welding's
my
what
fault.
Got me in, right? Welding is what got me through the door. So, and so I got to see the service side of it, whereas measuring airflow and changing airflow and bringing everything to spec, and it was more of the service side of sheet metal. And then I was like, oh, I like this a lot. So then another couple years in, they decided they wanted to put me back on the tools, because they're like, you have to learn the sheet metal trade. Well, once I did that, I think I lasted 2 months, and I was like, this is for the birds. And then, but the good thing was that sheet metal opened me up to all the other building trades, and things you would never know about. I never knew about. I mean, when I was in high school, they never talked about it. I never heard anything about being a tradesman. Right?
Well, and you don't hear that down here either. The only reason I really knew as much as I knew is because my dad was a heating contractor. So, I think we still had auto shop, which blew my mind. But it also we're also a group in the sticks, so it makes a little bit sense why some of it stuck around. But you go to a high school around the Charlotte area where I am now, and you never hear it. It's crickets. It's just breeding them up to go get a big student loan for a degree they won't make enough money to pay it back on, and process repeats.
It's so crazy that that's still happening. I mean, and I work with enough teachers and things, and they send their students to me, but I'm like, why isn't this being taught to kids that this is not just viable, it's a great option for kids, right?
Oh, it is.
So they'll send, my friends who are high school teachers, they'll send kids my way and say, talk to this, this person. It's usually young girls, right, who are a little more mechanically inclined. So I'll help where I can, but.
Well, and that right there, that brings up another great point. This industry, the HVAC industry, is really often male dominated, and how did you kind of navigate those early days? And you talking, especially you talking to younger women now about joining the trade. what additional, what advice could you give them about considering the trade and just kind of knowing that this is what you're going into, and how to handle that?
I wish I knew, because I did all the wrong things when when I was, younger in the trade, when I first started out. At least I thought I was doing everything wrong. I always thought it was me. It's something I'm doing wrong. But it wasn't me. It was just guys were not ready for me, right? They weren't ready for the husky brown girl to come and swing wrenches with them. So, but honestly, just try it. Just try it. You'll find your niche. You'll find your people. And times are changing. Women are a huge untapped resource. You can't count them out. There's just too many of us. You're instantly cutting out half of the workforce. For what reason? Right?
Yep.
I don't know. It seems very bizarre to me, but I get it. I get that they just weren't ready, right? This was, we're talking 25 years ago when I started my HVAC apprenticeship, so I can't believe it's been that long, but it was a very different time back then, and I was, again, not that I really push the union thing too much, but I would not be here if it wasn't for my union, right? Because guys had to hire me. There was nobody else left. You had to take me, right? So, and I made it through. I didn't always get treated the best, but what apprentice does? Really?
Yep, that's the truth too.
Yeah, you have to take your lumps. That's just the way it is.
No, and you can't show special treatment.
No. But at the same time, don't count us out, right?
Yep.
So, as long as you're given a chance, and I was very fortunate. I worked for a couple of companies where they never treated me any differently, and I was just one of the guys, which was great. It helped me a lot. It helped me progress, professionally, to know that wasn't an issue, that I'd have to prove myself every step of the way, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, it was, honestly, it was tough, but it was well worth it. Every bit of it.
Well, and, proving yourself through the process, your apprenticeship and then eventually Red Seal certification, all that stuff is a very, significant milestone. So kind of what else did you have to get through process-wise, to have everything it would take for you to possibly start your own business?
Honestly, it was it was not on a whim, but I just knew I had more in me. It sounds so corny, but I amazed myself with a lot of the things that I was able to do and able to work through, and my relationships with customers and things like that. And not that I was, a super outstanding mechanic, but I realized I'm very good with people. I'm very good on sales. And I knew I had a lot more to give than the company I was working for was willing to let me handle. So I said, really, I can't change them. The only variable I have any control over is changing myself and what I'm doing, right? So
yep.
So and then we just took the leap and said, okay, well, what do I have to lose? So, and just try not to burn bridges when you leave. That was probably the hardest part, was that I had no hard feelings to the company that I left. I really loved working there. So, I didn't want to burn bridges there, and I rely quite heavily on a lot of the guys that a lot of relationships that I've made in the trade. So, yeah.
So
you just get to a point where I think you just know that you need to move on. I outgrew them.
No, I completely understand what you're even saying there and how it makes you feel. Because I've been there, been in the same spot, so I completely get that. So you decided you wanted to go open your business. What things do you actually have to do in Canada in order to open a mechanical business? Were there any additional licenses you need to have? Aside from, I'm sure you have to have a business license, that kind of thing. But did you have to have any other, mechanical licenses or certifications to be able to do that on your own outside of what you already had at the time?
No, actually, no, there wasn't. There was nothing honestly, looking back on it, I should have taken some sort of a light business course because I'm not a business person. So, starting my own, I realized, and somebody had mentioned this, that starting your own business is like starting another apprenticeship. It takes you another 9,000 hours to learn how businesses run.
Yep.
And I mean, I am only a second-year apprentice in that respect, right? But no, there's no additional licenses. It's just learning how to navigate and do both.
Yeah.
Which has really been tough, but well worth it.
Now, additionally, I have to ask this question, but are there any, business advantages as a female-owned business in Canada? I know here there's certain types of tax credits and other different things for, first year female businesses, things of that nature. Is there anything like that kind of can help you, bridge some of those gaps?
So I am sort of getting into that now. We had talked about it previously where I started this business with a partner a year and a half ago, and he's since moved on. So I am now, a female-owned business. And there are quite a few incentives and grants and things to help in my favor. Also, I am a lady of color, so that apparently that is also worth some grants too. But there's also here in Canada, and I'm sure it's the same in the States, where there's incentives to take on apprentices as well. So I'm currently looking for an apprentice. I'm also looking for a fully licensed mechanic, but I'm looking forward to taking on an apprentice at first year and building her up, maybe. I would love a band of women. But I don't know exactly what there is right now, but I'm getting a lot of support from a lot of women's groups and obviously the other ladies that are in the trades. There's a lot of Canadian women that are in HVAC, which is pretty awesome.
Yes, there are, and we kind of continue to see more and more of y'all, which is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a different struggle, but it's been a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. And not just because you get pissed off one day and you decide, sure, whatever motivation you need, sure, I think it's great, but do it because it's what you want, what you need to develop and grow.
No, I completely agree with that. And then, going back even to hiring apprenticeships or having additional help to do that, I don't know if there is anything necessarily like that down here. I wish there were, and there might be, and I may just sound like a complete business idiot in my own state. But I truly don't know if there's any kind of, tax break or tax incentive here for hiring, an apprentice. I think, of course, it may be because technically there's really not unions here for one.
Okay.
When it comes to a lot of things, and then also North Carolina is a right to work state. So in some cases that may limit, additional certain types of employee support, but I may be wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm not 100% sure either.
I'm only starting to scratch the surface on what is available to me as a woman-owned business. But honestly, the outpouring of support for my solo venture has been really incredible. I'm very, very lucky to have the group I'm in. I mean, and you've had the other members of Red Seal on here.
Yep.
And those guys are like my biggest cheerleaders. Those guys are so great. They've been so supportive, and they always answer my call or text or whatever, and they've been so helpful. Sometimes it's just to shoot the shit, right? So
absolutely.
It's been really great.
What's up, trade crew? Are you tired of playing microfarad hide and seek with your service truck inventory? I think it's time that you tested out the Turbo 200 family from Amrad Manufacturing and Global to Source, where efficiency meets durability and finding the right capacitor is never a game of chance. With the Turbo family of universal capacitors, you're not just getting any regular capacitor. No. You're getting the HVAC industry's version of a superhero cape. Reliable, efficient, ready to save the day, these ruggedly tested, made in the USA capacitors are prepared for whatever you run into during your service calls. These truly unique and industry-changing universal capacitors allow you to replace over 200 individual sizes with just their 4 models: the Turbo 200, Turbo 200X, Turbo Mini, and Turbo Mini Oval. And did I mention they have a 5-year warranty? Seriously, what are you waiting for? Do the math and upgrade your truck stock setup today, because the Turbo family has got you covered. Visit the HVAC R&D Vendor Hub and click on the Global to Source link to request training from a local account executive in your market. Easy peasy. Amrad Manufacturing, where performance meets perfection. Because in the world of HVAC, good enough isn't in our vocabulary. It's turbo or nothing. And now, back to the show. No, and I said it, the last show with Matt and Ilya a couple weeks ago. Those guys have been life-changing friends to me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're incredible.
And I live, half a hemisphere away.
Yeah.
I guess, technically. But no. So, and that kind of, we talked a little bit about mentors and stuff before. We'll talk some more about those guys later as well. But now you're going into, I guess, full second year. What was your target market? What were you really going after? Was it, obviously you kind of built yourself in commercial service, or so it sounds. I'm assuming it was kind of that way, but was there any, in terms of just being able to get business, were you taking on residential service just to help the phones ring in the beginning or anything like that? Kind of what's your business strategy and where are you going?
So personally, I never worked residential. Again, as a woman in a trade, it's not always the safest option, I would say.
I can see that.
I mean, for me, it was maybe a personal choice where I just wouldn't always feel safe going to strangers' homes, especially by myself. And majority of the time, I have been working by myself. I was very fortunate to get a lot of institutional work over the last 25 years in the trade, so I kind of geared myself towards that, and I have picked up a local university, and I've kind of started to get back into some institutional settings, which is where I'm probably most comfortable. But also, I've started doing some work for some process plants. They do some car parts and stuff, and that's a different thing altogether because it's process, and it's time is money, and there's a different kind of stress when it comes to manufacturing, right? So balancing the two of those, which are basically majority of what I've got, it's been quite a challenge. You kind of have to wear two different hats because they're two totally different customers.
No, and that makes sense, and that was kind of going to be part of my next question when you look at kind of what's your approach to building that client base. But obviously, it's kind of you've got really a two-pronged approach at the moment.
Yeah.
And what if are any of these people ones you've worked with in the past, or is this all truly new business that you've cultivated, or kind of how have you started to build your reputation in that sector?
Yeah. So so the university one, I mean, that is my husband actually works at the university and recommended us, which worked out quite well. So that's how we kind of got into there, how we got our foot in the door. But I mean, we had to jump through hoops to get put on the vendors list. There's another local university, and we've been working with them as well. So it kind of, once they see that you do institutional, their other institutional settings are more likely to give you a chance. And then as far as the manufacturing plant, they came with me from the last company I was at, which made some hurt feelings.
I'm sure that ruffled a few tail feathers.
Yeah, it really kind of got a little ugly, but it's working itself out.
Well, the next question was kind of going to be, and I guess this will be a question for once you bring on your apprentice. Let's say you've gotten your apprentice and you've gotten your licensed mechanical guy. So now you've got two on board.
Oh,
what's kind of what's kind of the plan to really start balancing the demand of running, not just working in the business, but running the business, as well as kind of staying current with industry trends and how your technologies are having to change? Because I know we've been talking about refrigerant changes and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that I can kind of prioritize that a little more.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm a big believer in the right training for the job. And we've done it, me and like my ex-business partner now, we've done a ton of training over the year and a half we've been in business. So we were able to, really sharpen our skills and go after certain things because we've got the factory training and we've done, a number of different manufacturers, but also, like you said, staying current with the refrigerant changes and the equipment changes. And so I would like to stay focused on that, but honestly, the business side of things has really sparked my interest, and I really want to start focusing more on that. And honestly, I'm a pretty good salesman, so I wouldn't mind being able to
go sell,
get out and sell more instead of showing up with grease on my face all the time. Like, I'm sure they appreciate it, but I don't look like a salesman when I show up dirty.
That's true. But also, it gives you time to get in front of a few more people to actually really start building the business, which you get in front of more people. Sales, and people will say sales cures all, but in most cases it does, as long as the infrastructure keeps up with it.
Exactly.
That's the asterisk.
And I'm really trying not to get into this place where I am over-promising and under-delivering.
Yep.
That is, I think the reason why that plant came with me from the previous company is because I never did that. I would never say something and not do it.
Yeah.
So
anything you would have done differently, in your first, year and a half startup, which I'm sure there's plenty, but, anything that really sticks out?
I don't know. I mean, of course, there's always going to be little things. Like I feel like we kind of got screwed on the trucks. And now I'm locked in for 5 years, so we're paying
we can see that.
Crazy amount of money. I would have, if you're thinking of going, I think going out on your own, think about it and plan for it. So Gary McCready, you know him.
Yep.
HVAC know-it-all. He planned it out a little better. He was, he knew he was doing this. He planned for it. We really didn't. We just said, we've been humming and hawing about this. Let's just do it and then figure it out as we go.
Yep.
And but at the same time, I don't want to dwell on. Obviously, I'm going to learn from my past and evolve, but I don't want to spend too much time thinking about what I could have changed, because I need to put all that energy into moving forward.
Well, and speaking of the energy of moving forward, what's been the most rewarding aspect of running your own company so far?
Honestly, just gaining. It's not gaining more confidence, because I feel pretty confident in what I'm doing. It's I guess putting this kind of imposter syndrome to bed, because I feel like over the years I've always had this imposter syndrome. Like, I feel like maybe I just got lucky, or maybe somebody didn't see something that I saw. You know,
Yeah,
I
that internal
think it was
self-doubt of,
yeah,
no,
exactly.
I completely understand that. Completely.
We all have it,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I've been proving to myself on a daily basis that this was the right choice for me. This is what I was supposed to do. I'm just getting better at it, learning.
Well, evolve or dissolve, as we say.
Yeah, it's so true.
So, another topic you really were passionate about and want to talk about, which, and this is kind of, the dance I dance every day, and what I do is, building and maintaining relationships in the trades. So, obviously, HVAC is an extremely competitive field. I say it over and over on the show: collaboration over competition. Yeah. So, how do you approach building and maintaining friendships with others in the trades, even when you're technically competitors?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I guess it's hard to be competition when there's just so much work out there.
Yeah,
like, there's just
I wish, and that's the view that the majority are still failing to see. So I'll say that right out there with you.
Yeah.
There's enough for everybody.
There is so much. There's too much. Like, and I think we can all just grow and help each other. I can't be good at everything. Like, that was kind of the nice part of having the partnership, was that he had strengths that I didn't have. But over the last year and a half, I learned so much from him, and hopefully I hope he learned from me as well. But I mean, we all learn from each other. Like you said, like Matt and Elia and Jay, like those guys, they help me constantly. I hope I help them too. But like, you can't make it in this trade without those relationships. Like, you just have to. It's just part of what you do, especially since for a lot of us, we're all lone soldiers out there.
That's the truth.
Yeah. So
whether it's in your role or in sales role, and all of them.
Yeah.
So what's like your worst 911 phone a friend? Like, Matt, please answer the phone. Foodie, please answer the phone. Like, what's the worst, like, phone a friend that you've had to make? Well, I guess worst is not the. I guess worst is probably the worst term for that, actually.
Yeah.
What's like the most desperate plea for help you've had to make trying to get out of a crap situation?
Actually, I had it not long ago, actually, on a service call to the plant, and production was down, and a bearing exploded.
Ooh.
And I couldn't find a bearing anywhere to save my life. And no wholesalers were opening. And I ended up calling in millwrights to come and help me, like, pull this thing apart, because I was on my own, right?
Oh, man.
And we ended up having to come back the next day, because the customer was actually, like, his millwrights on staff were able to find a bearing. And we put it in, we got them going, but they were down for like 12 hours. It was an awful feeling. That might be one of the worst calls I've ever had. Because I don't feel good about leaving a site knowing the equipment is still down and there was nothing. Like, I just feel like there's got to be more options. I could have exhausted something else to get them going. but there really wasn't.
No,
I even checked other units to see, oh, well, this one's just for comfort. Maybe I'll take a bearing out of that. Well, it's not the right size.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
I was going to say, how big, since this is, a production plant, how big was that piece of gear?
So the fan side, like the fan is taller than me. Not that says much because I'm 5'3", but
Big old fan.
It's a big fan. It's a direct fired makeup air.
Okay.
I don't remember what the BTU rating is on it, but the fan size, like the shaft size, I was looking for a 4.5-inch bearing.
Jesus.
Yeah,
okay, I can also understand why it might have been a bit more of a pain in the ass to find one.
Oh, huge. Yeah, like we had to hook up a chain fall to hold the shaft and fan together so that we could slide on the new bearings. It was a mess.
God, who was it?
Brutal.
I saw, speaking of giant freaking blower fans, I saw, who's it? I saw Top Gun Mechanical. Ryan had a crane lifting a huge one out of a school the other day.
Yeah.
I love watching that stuff.
That's great.
So, obviously,
we said stuff I love. I love the bigger the better. Like I love that stuff.
And see, I love like seeing all the big equipment and everything, but I've never dealt with any of it firsthand. Really, I think the biggest piece of equipment I ever dealt with was probably cleaning like 40-ton air handlers, like 20 to 40-ton air handlers, but like suspended. So actually, it may not have even been 40s. It was probably 20s and 30s, but they were suspended.
So this particular unit that I had, where the fan bearing blew up, it has 6 compressors, each of them 25 tons.
Jesus, it was a 150-ton unit.
Yeah, of 22. Beautiful,
huge,
sweet 22.
Huge.
Oh. Yeah, like the unit's big enough for me to walk around inside.
That's crazy. I remember I walked through. God, what was it? I think it was a JCI unit. I walked through at AHR in 2019 in Atlanta.
Yeah,
that was the first time. Like I felt like I'd seen big units on rooftops and stuff, but like seeing one up close, I was like, oh, holy shit, this is insane.
This is big.
It's like this is not what I was expecting at all.
So you can imagine, like how much I almost shit my pants when we went to start up after we changed the bearing and we went to start the fan. Oh man, I was so scared that the thing was going to blow up again or something was going to happen. When those things start up, it's like the whole town dims. It's crazy.
Jeez.
Yeah. But it's fun. I love, that's where I've always worked. That's where I'm most comfortable. Put me in a residential, I had to do my parents' heat pump this year and at their house, and I was fumbling through it. It took me, honestly, shame to say it took me 11 hours to put that thing in. Guys do it in 4. Resi guys are they've got it down to a science, and I got to give it to them because it is not a world I know at all. But what would take them 4 hours took me 11 hours.
No, it's not always as quick as they always make it out to be.
No, I know, but this shouldn't have taken that long. I'm just not equipped for it, and I'm going back and forth to the truck, and then my mom's trying to feed me, and my dad's asking me about, when are we going fishing? Oh, okay, Dad, simmer down.
Sounds like my dad.
I don't have time for this. My poor parents.
Mine too.
But I did get them up and running, so that's good.
Well, and there's going to be a day, I'm sure, when Cajun Joe is standing over my shoulder again before it's all over with. I grew up with that, so I know exactly what you mean on that one. So, now you're in some ways, you're in a little bit different position about how you're building relationships, though. So, not only are you building customer relationships, but now you've also kind of had to step into the world of distribution and wholesale. So, my world. So,
Yeah.
Obviously relationships with distributors and manufacturers are crucial. What have you done about building and nurturing those kind of new connections in order to make sure you've got, the best support group for your business?
I'm very lucky. Like I've been around for a while, so I've had a lot of these relationships for quite some time.
Yep.
So walking out on my own, I got nothing but the best wishes from everybody, and a lot of people have gone over and above to help me. Like all my suppliers, like they really do bend over backwards for me, and I'm so fortunate that way. But yeah, that's what I mean. It's just so important to have those relationships and cultivate that, because you can't make it. You can't be a dick to the counter guys or to the salesperson on the phone, the inside sales guys or anything. Like you really have to keep it together. I understand guys have bad days and stuff happens, and you end up always taking it out on the wrong person. But you really have to try and nurture these relationships. So, like I said, I've been very fortunate that a lot of these people know me, so they've seen me at my worst and at my best. So, and everyone's been really, really helpful. But suppliers are not what they used to be, man. I don't know if I want to blame COVID for that, but I feel like supply chains just really haven't caught up yet. I don't know. Huh? Rhydon, did I lose you?
I'm here. My bad.
Oh,
Actually, I
there you
muted
are.
myself. So what I was starting to say is, obviously they can't all be great distributors like where I work. But I think supply chain, that kind of stuff is not really caught up. I still see weird, strange delays over different things. There's still a lot of commercial manufacturers that lead times are still long.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're a stocking distributor, you've got to, you're not ordering on a weekly, bi-weekly, or even monthly basis anymore. You're ordering, a month in advance, 2 months in advance, 6 months in advance, depending on what technically lead times are. I'm ordering air handlers and coils from certain people, on 12 weeks, rooftops on 20, depending on what it is. Or none of that's
Isn't that crazy?
So if I want to plan to have this on the floor, I know it technically takes me 8 to 12 weeks to get it. So I'm ordering 2 months ahead of time. Mm-hmm. And in some ways it's great because right now I'm doing, some of my own ordering, which I kind of know what my own goals and projections are. So I can kind of help steer some certain products that I know I spearhead kind of the way I really want them, which is nice.
Yeah.
It's nice to get empowered to deliver and be me. But I also know that comes with, if they're going to do that, I gotta do what I say I'm going to do. I gotta back it up. So I get that too.
That's the part I was getting at with with the over promising and under delivering. Like it's hard when you're at the mercy of your wholesalers and I mean even from the manufacturers. It's hard to make promises to people who need hard dates and hard numbers.
Yep. And that's and that's also where you were talking about kind of misplaced frustration from time to time. On the side where I'm at, on the residential side, homeowner will absolutely light up the contractor. So then the contractor turns around and absolutely lights me up or lights, one of my guys up. And it's like, you can get as mad at me as you want, man. It's like, but the lead time is what it is. I can't change it.
100%. Exactly.
I cannot change it. I'm not the one building it. I'm just the one getting it here as fast as I possibly can.
Yeah. So your blow up is not doing any good.
No. And I've literally hung up on guys before, and I'll be like, man, when you want to talk to me, you call me back and I'll hang up the phone.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's probably, I've had I've had a couple that I think it's, proved a point, and then others, they just don't care. So it doesn't matter. But it doesn't help me. It doesn't help me want to help you any more than I already do or don't. If you won't even allow me to help you as best I can, it makes it tough all the way around.
Yeah, like on the flip side, with me being who I am, I find a lot of guys, like customers, they won't necessarily yell at me or get mad at me because I don't know if they're scared I'm going to cry or something. But all of a sudden, you just don't hear from people, right?
Yeah.
And I would rather you yell at me. I'd rather know why are you mad? Why aren't you happy with your service or whatever the case may be? I'd rather have that, and then we can talk about it. Like, instead of, like, don't run my name through the dirt. Don't do any of that. Just talk to me. So I'd rather have the dialogue and say the uncomfortable things and then move on.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the only way you can do it, because no matter where the conversation starts, we know where it needs to end.
Yeah.
Let's have the conversation and both hold our heads up and fix the problem. That's all you can do. So, I guess, and that kind of answers some of the other questions in terms of what we were thinking about going down the path of. So what true role do you see, maintaining these long-term relationships? What kind of level of success, or how do they play on the success of your business? What's an example of, a strong partnership that you now have with a distributor or manufacturer that you've cultivated since starting your own business? And how has that, made a difference for a project or, building a relationship with a customer?
Oh, it's huge. Like relationships are so very important. Working for the company I worked for previously, we did a lot of business with a rep in town, and now that I'm on my own, that rep, like, my relationship obviously stayed with that rep. I still do a lot of work. Like, I need a lot of this parts and stuff that for the brand that they rep. And they've started actually giving me startup work. So they're actually, because we've had this long-term relationship, and now that they're invested in me, they know me personally, they've seen me come into the office, they want to see my success, and they feel like they're a part of it, which I love. I love that they're, so helpful and forthcoming with work and with helping me build more relationships. So they've started giving me startup work on their equipment, which is because they don't have their own tech, so they sub it out. And I've gotten on to doing boiler startups and things like that with them.
Nice.
Yeah, so it, like, you never know, even though they're my like, I'm their customer. Mm-hmm. They're really now my customer, because I'm here to help them with their business. Like, they sell the equipment and I go do the startup. So even though we've reversed the roles, it's still, it goes back and forth, really.
Well, and I've got a couple of customers that I have a similar relationship like that with. I've got a guy that does a lot of custom duct work for me for plan and spec jobs. But there's certain things that he manufactures and there's certain things that he doesn't. So, I also support him with additional material that he may need for a duct job that he sells to another contractor.
Okay. Yeah.
Because, he makes spiral pipe, he makes, all kinds of square and snap lock stuff, but he doesn't make his own flex. Mm-hmm. But if he quotes out a commercial job, he'll now quote, the flex going on it, to make his part of the duct system or the air distribution side a bit more complete from his point of view, which I think is a great idea.
Yeah.
Because a lot of metal shops don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another relationship that I've had to start making is with other contractors.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always been kind of on the tech side, and now that I'm on the business side, that's a whole other world that I've never been a part of, and I've had to learn is how to work with other estimators and things like that. Because it's also a balance of they might try and steal your contract from you, right?
Oh,
So
yeah. That can happen too.
there's that aspect.
Well, and when let's say you're quoting a change out or certain different things,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, I would guess you have to hire an electrician for any of the electrical work.
Yep.
Or, can you even hook up a unit without an electrician? Or is there like any kind of little, the state I'm in North Carolina, you can get, as a heating and air technician, you can get a little rider onto your mechanical license that allows you to like do your electrical hookup. You can't do wire in a house, things like that, but you can get it's, I don't know exactly what they call it, but I guess it's an HVAC electrical license.
Nice.
So that you can at least do that.
that.
But now,
We should totally get that.
If you're doing like major panel upgrades and stuff, obviously you can't do that. But if you're just doing, power 2 unit, you're allowed to do that. That's what it lets you do.
We are not. We are only allowed from the disconnect back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what about the water management side? Do you ever have to have plumbers involved, especially with big equipment, in terms of how you're dealing with running drains and everything else?
Yeah, I do a lot of hydronic stuff, but I mean here too. I'm a gas fitter as well for the heating side, so I have I'm a pipe fitter and
Gotcha.
Gas fitter. So I do the gas hookups, but I don't do the electrical. I don't do any hydronic stuff. But the big plant and the universities, like they have their own in-house plumbers, in-house electricians. So I've been lucky that I can, usually if I give them enough notice, those guys will come out and do the hookups for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
See? Partnership.
Yeah, of course.
Building partnerships.
That's right. Just trying to get through. But they've been really, really helpful that way. And a lot of the times they'll let me just hook it up and they'll inspect it and check it out and give me the go-ahead, right? So
that's what friends are for, right?
That's right. Friends help friends.
Yes. So as we start to wrap this up a little bit, so the segment now that I've been using a bit this year, I've called it Give More in 2024. It is now powered proudly by Bosch Home Comfort. A lot of the inspiration for, approaching them about sponsoring this segment of the show was, doing everything with Prosser Academy and AHR earlier this year as part of workforce development. So, just a couple of questions really about giving back to the community. What advice would you give to someone truly considering a career in HVAC, especially, if they're going first into sales or if they're going in as an apprentice?
Oh, do it. Get in here. The more the merrier. Honestly, it's been such a rewarding trade for me. And coming from, the sheet metal trade and tool and die and stuff, I mean, just getting your foot into something like this, the HVAC world, it opens your eyes to everything else, whether it's electrical or controls or plumbing or whatever. But there's so many other things that you can get into. There's so many different avenues you can go. So whether it's sales or design or whatever, like there's just so much work and it changes all the time and it's very rewarding. It's just like it's something tangible, and that is such a nice feeling, especially as an apprentice, when you're so new and you're able to fix things or you're able to do things quicker and faster and better, and it just helps you grow so much more. So just jump in. Whatever you're thinking about, just jump in and try it. And if it doesn't work, try something else. But You got to try it.
And that's the beauty of it. There's so many different things you can do in the trades. If you don't like this one, go try a different one.
Yeah.
Eventually you'll find the one you like, you'll find the people you like, and you'll stick.
Exactly.
So who were some of your real life, as well as, I guess, in this modern age and the community you and I run in, also, some social media people, but, real life and social media mentors or colleagues that you've met through the years of getting into social media that have had significant influence on your career, and, how did it help you grow?
Okay, so this is going to sound super corny.
It's okay. That's why we're here.
It's a safe space.
Safe space.
Honestly, my mom and dad, they, they were both born in India. They immigrated here in their late 20s with nothing, and they weren't together when they came separately. And they met here, but my dad owned his own business, and he had a couple of failed businesses as a machinist, but he ended up finding one, he had a partnership that really worked, and he worked hard and he worked around the clock. And his motto when he was in business was that he would never be late for a job. So you give him a task, or, like a shaft or whatever he was designing, and he would have it to you on time. He was never, ever late for a job. And that was incredible. And my mom, even though she just worked like a factory job in a pharmaceutical plant, but they worked so hard and they built such a life. And honestly, it was just being good people, being honest, and working hard. And those two were like the best role models I could have ever had. Don't tell them I said that, because I give them shit all the time.
I can bleep that whole part out. They'll never know.
Yeah.
No, I can second that.
No, they were so hardworking to come from literally nothing and build the life that they gave us. Like I was able to find my way through the trade and try something and fail, or try something and figure out that's not for me and move on. Like the fact that I even had that option was pretty incredible. And my brother is a career firefighter, so we joke around because I'm the fire starter because I'm a gas fitter, and he's the fire putter outer, I guess.
Now, what kind of fight would you have if you were fitting fire sprinklers instead of?
Oh, I know, exactly.
That's a whole different kind of fight.
Oh, we have enough fights as it is. But yeah, my parents were obviously great, and I am learning so much from, younger, new mechanics that are coming in, because they know new shit that I've never even heard of.
Yep.
And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I was so late to get on the heat pump train. I'm slightly embarrassed that it took me so long to get on board with it. I get it now. So I learn a lot from my colleagues and guys I've worked with, guys you meet at wholesalers. Obviously, my social media friends, it's incredible what I learn just online, just scrolling through their posts, right?
No, that's the truth. I've learned so much more just from being able to watch people that have had different experiences. It's insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, I'm very lucky. I have a really, really good community, a really strong community. It's been great.
So what would be your last best piece of advice for just personal and professional growth moving forward?
Just
I was going to say
you've
already said jump in.
I know. Honestly, that is it. Just don't let fear block you from trying.
See, there it is.
You can't be good at everything. It's going to happen, but just try. Just try it out. You're not gonna die. Oh, I don't know. Just be careful, but just jump in. Just try it.
That was for the Sparkies.
Yeah. Yeah. No kidding.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Rachel. This has been so much
thank
fun.
you.
We definitely need to do another F1 podcast at some point. That was a lot of fun.
100%.
So
maybe we should do one at the end of the season because,
yes, we should.
I think this is gonna be a wild season.
Yes, we should, or we should do it like a live, like make it a thing.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah,
no, that'd be cool.
Definitely, I'm all in anytime. This has been honestly such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for speaking to me. Thank you for speaking to the trade crew. Thank you for all of your friends, and hopefully, Mom and Dad have tuned in and been proud of what you've accomplished.
I'm proud of them, those guys.
If you're not following the show online, please follow HVAC R&D on Instagram and TikTok at hvac.rnd and as the HVAC R&D podcast on LinkedIn, Trade Hounds, and Facebook. Please go follow Rachel on Instagram as HVAC RACH, and follow her company, Spectrum Air Solutions, as well at Spectrum Air Solutions. Thank you so much for listening to the show on your favorite platform, whatever it may be. If it's your first time listening, make sure to like and subscribe to the show. Leave me a rating, leave me a review, share me with your trade crew and your friends. Don't forget to check out the website and the swag shop, hvacrnd.com. Also, go to the vendor hub if you're interested in being a sponsor or anything else on the show or working with me. You know how to do that. So have a great week, trade crew. I'll catch you soon.